Welcome. It is finally time to do the Super 5 OLED for the Switch Lite. My goodness, has it been a journey to get here. I will quickly say this because it has been a major pain in my butt. I like to plan my videos out like 3 or 4 months in advance if I can. It was supposed to ship in October. Understandable. There was a small delay because of an issue that I don't remember what it was. He being Taki, said it would ship in November. I assumed that was going to be early November. Maybe he did say it was early November. I don't know. But it ended up not shipping until November 25th. And at that point, I already had friends like Natalie who already got theirs around that time. And I finally got the shipping notification that said, hey, it's on the way. Asterisk, because it was not. After the shipping notification, it was probably close to 2 weeks. I emailed support and they said, hey, it hasn't moved. It just said the shipping label's created. Can you give me anything more? They gave me this long list of the touchscreen and the HDMI versions that are going to take longer. And I'm like, no. I don't have that. I have the non-touch version and it's already shipped, supposedly. And then they said, we will ship it as soon as possible. And I just let it go because they were not being helpful whatsoever. Then like 3 weeks after I got the shipping notification, I ended up replying to one of Taki's tweets. And then he responded to me with an actual answer saying it'll ship on Friday. And it actually did start moving on that Friday, like he said. Now, why couldn't support tell me that forever ago or end up sending an email? Could there have been a press release or a tweet from Taki? I don't know. But it was a major pain in my butt. And since I originally planned to do this in November, I had to keep coming up with replacement videos. And then here we are at the end of December where I'm just trying to cram this in right before the end of the year because January and February are already booked out for me and I don't want to do this later than everybody else. So here we are. Frustrations over. Had to get that out of the way. But there's actually a lot more in this package than I thought there was going to be. You get a new metal shielding because you do need a part of the shielding cut out. Really, this won't come out. So they give you a new shielding with the cutouts that are necessary, which is awesome. They also give you a suction cup, which you'll probably want, which is awesome. You get 2 new thumbsticks, which I don't need, and mine are white, so I'm not going to replace them. But cool. I don't know if these are basic or Hall effect, but still cool. And then you get a toolbox. So presumably you have everything you need, if I can get this out, with a pick, this other style of pick. You have 2 different types of screwdrivers and tweezers in the style that I like. And I need a new pair of tweezers. So thank you, Taki. I'm still frustrated, but thank you. I have one right here that is well loved. I'm going to actually put that off to the side and use this. I will not be using the Retro Remake branded screwdriver. I do like, oh, that's a nice bearing. That's like LTT level bearing. Where are the bits that go with this? I feel them in here, but anyways, I have my iFixit toolkit. I'm not going to use that. So, and then this looks like it's a tri-wing screw that is necessary. So that's cool. They give you everything you could possibly need. And then under here, you have extra protection, which I like. I'm going to shove all of that off because I don't need it. It's just in my way. And in this, we've got our screen and our ribbon cable. I got it in white. And here's our new ribbon cable and our additional power wire that we'll need. And it comes in this nice box. I appreciate that. Now, you may be wondering, why do you have a screen out and on top already? I got this actually sent from a viewer. Thank you so much, Jan. This was sent to my P.O. box. And I was like, perfect. I need a Switch Lite for this mod anyways. So I'm doing it to this one. And it's my favorite Great Wave Extreme Rate shell. But then one of my friends broke their Switch Lite screen. And so I was like, hey, I'm not going to need this perfectly good Switch Lite screen. I'll swap it for you. I'm like, no problem. They were super grateful. I swapped it. This is their broken screen. And now there is no longer a screen in this one. And I'm guessing that this lens was just on it before. So we're going to take that off. We don't need that. And I'll probably want to remove a lot of this extra double-sided tape here because there's some on the new screen that's probably going to be better. So I'm going to just do that right now. And I think that's it, maybe. We'll get back to this in a moment. the first thing we got to do is tear this thing apart. So I'm going to take my tri-wing screwdriver, the Y00 bit, and there's a tri-wing over here. There's a tri-wing over here, another one over here, and a fourth one down here. Then we've got these two Phillips up here, and I'm using the Phillips 00 bit. Here's one, and here's the other. These outside ones are not magnetic, and it is very annoying. And then we've got the two over here around the charge port. And then I like to get my fingernail underneath here where it splits in the shell, and you can even use the pick that is included to get up underneath there. And then you're pulling the back off of the front. And then eventually, if you go around the edges leading to the front, it should pop off. I left a game in here. I think it's going to be Kirby Star Allies. I was right. Nailed it. And then we're going to take a lot of other Phillips screws out of the back or the inside. We're going to take this one out, and this one out so we can remove the shielding that we will replace. And then the shielding should pop off. My bad. There is one more screw over here that holds that down. And then we can go ahead and take this off of the back. We are going to want to remove this right here, this ribbon cable, by flipping up that bail, pulling it out. And then we're going to want to take this plastic guy and get up underneath this wire for the battery and unplug it, because we don't want the battery flowing, any electricity flowing when we're doing this mod. From here, we're going to want to remove this screw, and this screw, because we're going to remove the heat sink here. And we're just going to pull up on that. If you want to replace your thermal paste, you can. I'm not going to bother with it because I don't have any thermal paste. And then we are going to remove this thing right here. So you're pretty much just going to want to unscrew this, and this, aka all the screws you can see up here. Make sure you're organizing these screws too, because they are different. Not all of them are different, but a lot of them are. And you don't want to put the wrong screw in the wrong screw hole. You might have some plastic poking out at the end if you do. So I like to use this section of the mat to kind of lay down the screws in a similar kind of area to where I think it'll go. And I think I put the wrong screw into that one, but that's what happens sometimes. Now we can lift this bail up. Just pop that up, and then we should be able to lift this up and pull it out. Don't force it out, just wiggle it out. And if it's stuck, then you don't have the bail up enough. I really wish that he had a written tutorial instead of just the video tutorial, because when I need a quick reference to what I'm supposed to do, I just want to see the pictures and the writing. Okay, so from here, we can flip this over, and obviously I don't have a screen in here anymore. So I guess flip it back over. You want to remove the cables from here, here, and over here. You just lift up the bail, and then you slide the ribbon cable out. I typically don't recommend using the pokey tweezers like this, because you don't want to poke a hole in your ribbon cable. If you have a nylon set of tweezers, then that works better. But pulling this out, getting it flat, and make sure your tips aren't poking through the ribbon cable. I mean, if you're replacing the screen, it doesn't really matter if you break it, if it's a broken screen kind of thing, but you still want to be careful. Just make sure that the tabs are actually lifted up all of the way. Once you have all of those out, you can flip it over, and you're going to want to use the included suction cup to pop it on there. And you're going to want to heat up with a hot air gun on a very low setting, or a blow dryer, because most people have a blow dryer in the house, and heat up the edges of the screen for quite a bit, and then slowly pull the screen out from one side. I would recommend probably starting on this side and pulling up, just because there's only the one cable that you would have to fight with, and then it should be easier to slide these two out when the majority of the screen is unstuck. If you want more help, I will link Taki's tutorial down below. It is a very solid tutorial. That's what I'm following right now. But once you remove the screen, we can get out our new screen, and we can peel these blue pieces up to expose our new double-sided tape. And if you haven't already, if you have any excess double-sided tape on the borders of your screen or in the shell, then you'll want to remove those because we've got new double-sided tape that's fresh, and any leftovers might make the screen stick out a little too much. So we're gonna find this hole down here and this hole over here. And we're gonna stick this ribbon cable through this hole first. And it's gonna be kind of difficult. I just stuck it through the battery part. I wanna stick it around the ribbon cable like that. There we go. And then before we stick this down, we want to line up the screen alignment at the bottom. Oh, I'm getting this all over my hand. Nice. We can stick the ribbon cable through the slot over here. And then we might need to grab our tweezers just to like coax the ribbon cable out like that. And then we should be able to press all of it down into its spot. And if you got any of this stuff on your hand like I did, then you might want to wash it off now. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now that we have all of that set up, we can go ahead and plug this ribbon cable back into its slot right here. Don't force it in, because if it's not going in, you don't have it lined up correctly. But we can use the little tiny pieces that stick out on the sides with either our tweezers or our fingernails to slide that in as much as possible. And as long as it looks even and it's in as far as you can get it, you can go ahead and lock it down. And then we can get out our new ribbon cable and we can stick the lower ribbon cable into this slot here. Once again, getting it as far in as possible and then locking the tab down. It will go this way for this one. Again, making sure it's as even as possible and as far in as possible when we're locking this down. It's kind of hard since we don't have this tape down yet. And then we are going to stick this little guy into this slot over here. And this is kind of tough since the battery is in the way, but we're in and I locked it down. And then we're gonna take our new power cables and we're gonna have the red wire up. We're gonna get all of these ribbon cables out of the way, including our power cable here. And with the red cable up, we're gonna plug the new one into the board. Then we can plug this ribbon cable back into its spot. Again, making sure it's as flush as possible. Then we can plug the old power cable for the battery into this slot. And then still red side up, we can plug the new power cable in over here. And there should be a little bit of double-sided tape on the back of our new ribbon cable that we can peel off and stick down right over this component. And just as a quick test, I'm going to turn on my switch light and see if we got everything working. So I'm going to press this far button over here. It might be out of juice though. So I'm gonna plug my switch in to charge and see if we get anything on the screen. Cool, it's off camera. Maybe it's on the wide camera over here, but we've got a signal for charging. So I'm gonna let this charge and then I'll come back in a second. I'm actually gonna go stream and then we'll finish this off. Our device is now charged up, ready to go. And I also just put the heatsink on top of it. It's not screwed down or anything, just to like get this stuff going. I'm actually going to turn, oh, yep, this is not a touchscreen. Turning the device back off for a second because I want to install the game card slot in the heatsink once again. Lock that down, just plugging it in like we've plugged everything else in, making sure it's flush, and lock that tab down. There's nothing going in here because we don't have a touchscreen. This is the non-touch variant. So you don't really need a touchscreen. I would argue you probably want a touchscreen for the Switch Lite more than you would for a regular Switch, but I have an OLED Switch, Switch V1, a Switch V2, the Animal Crossing one, and another Switch Lite, the Sword and Shield one. So I'm good without a touchscreen on this one. I just won't play the touchscreen games on this device. I'm okay with that. But anyways, I'm going to screw this back down as well as the heatsink. Since I know this is working, then I feel comfortable enough to start putting this back together. But we don't want to fully put it back together quite yet. But I do want the game cart slot installed because I want to put in a game for this next step. And if we're running the game, probably want to have the heatsink installed so we don't burn up our CPU. And then we can put this guy back down and put our 3 screws for this. It's not the right screw. And we should be all good to go here. I'm gonna try and re-stick that down. I just don't know how well it's gonna stick down. And then I'm gonna stick my game in here, which I believe it goes in like that. I'm gonna flip this over and we'll turn it back on with this button here. And there we go. Cool, we are in Kirby Star Allies. Well, it's loading, it's on the loading screen. Eventually, maybe we will load in the game one of these days. My goodness. Okay, we can press and hold the home button to pop up with this. Again, no touch screen. This is gonna be slightly more annoying than I thought. And we can adjust the brightness, and dang, that gets bright. That is way brighter than I thought it was gonna be. Let's take it down to a brightness that the camera will like. That's pretty bright and very vibrant. And we can exit out of that. And this has got a wide amount of colors here. On the back, Taki said that the final version would have the buttons labeled for what they are, and I don't think they have it labeled on the back. Nope, it's just the sticker. One of these buttons adjusts something. That's very blue. I'm confused as to what that does. And the other one switches between a not very vibrant and a very vibrant mode. I'm a sucker for saturation, so I'm gonna leave it on the very saturated, but honestly, the not saturated looks pretty good. I don't know. Like the pinks and stuff, the pink and the red looks a little too much, but I do like the rest of the colors. Okay. The other button makes it nice. That's very dim. And then blue. And then we've got saturated and then less saturated. Come back, Kirby. And then we've got less saturated, and then we got dim, and then we got blue. It'd be great if I knew what I was doing. This apparently gets up to 600 nits. It is very bright. Compared to the Switch OLED, it is almost double the brightness and gets more of the color space and has a better contrast ratio. And it's even better than the Switch Lite. But the Switch Lite screen, the original one, gets brighter than the OLED screen by about 60 nits. Are you nitting kidding me? Anyways, it does not tell me in the listing what the different buttons do. I'm just going to leave it like this. And one button changes one setting, the other button changes the other. Good luck. That's all I know. I'd love to tell you more, but that's all I know. It's not labeled like he said it was going to be. This is revision 1.6 of this ribbon cable that he has made. Hopefully, Taki can shed a little more light on this subject. But for now, I am going to press and hold the power button. I'm going to go down to power options and turn off. Since I am satisfied with that, we can go ahead and take our new back plate, which has just this little bit cut out. That's the difference. I could, you know what, I will. I'm gonna scrape this off of here and put it down over here, kind of. Take this back out and we can carefully set everything down like so. I'm actually going to remove this from there and I'm gonna stick it on top of this like that. So if I want to adjust the colors later with these buttons, I don't have to remove too much. Okay, I'm going to take wherever my screwdriver went and we're gonna screw these last 4 screws in and screw this one up top here. I'm going to screw this longer gold one over here. I'm gonna screw the middle one over here maybe. Feels slightly off, so I need to push it into place. And the screw is annoying me. I'm getting a little shaky here. There we go. Screw the middle one down finally. And then our last internal screw be right over here, down low. And then we shouldn't need to put any Kapton tape down. And we should hopefully be able to just put the shell back over top. And I'll start from the top this time. That way, hopefully our buttons don't get all messed up. Our top buttons, maybe. It doesn't want to go over the triggers too well. And our buttons are getting messed up again. This is like the most annoying part of dealing with the Switch shell is the buttons and membranes for this up here. Okay, come on, man. Cool. Everything seems to be in place now. I wish that my console was not on, but gotta deal with it sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna take my bottom 2 Phillips screws, try and screw it in, but it is a little tight. Forgot these are not magnetic screws and that is really annoying. Then we'll put the top ones in and the one over here. And then we can put the last 4 tri-wings in on the 4 corners of this rounded rectangle. And these are also still not magnetized, so it is still a slight pain in the butt. Cool. That is about as good as I can get it and turn this on, but this is pretty much a stock switch because it was gifted to me in the PO box, like I said earlier. But we can take the tab and peel the peel. That was a very nice peel. I swear I just saw something like glitch on the screen, not making this up. Maybe I just like touched the switch when I was going for that, but I swear I just saw the screen glitch and I want to say it changed, but no touchscreen. We can adjust everything without the touchscreen. We do not need it. It is fine. This looks great. I wish that the black background for dark mode was actually pure black, but unfortunately, Nintendo does not have a pure black dark mode. This, I think, is pure black right now. I think all these pixels are off being an OLED screen, so this is great. And we can wait for this super long loading screen again. And yeah, this looks fan-freaking-tastic. I like it. Kirby doesn't look too gross, because sometimes you can have oversaturated reds and it looks bad. I am happy with the settings I decided on. I wish I knew what I was doing with these buttons, but it was pretty confusing. Even watching his video between these two recordings of this tutorial, I still don't really understand how to change the settings or what the settings really change, other than a little bit of color here and there. According to the listing, they will be back in stock in February, so I guess I don't have to post this video immediately, but I don't know if any of the other pre-orders are still available to pre-order, because you can get the touchscreen version. This is the non-touchscreen version, as I said. And then you can also get the Mega Kit, which I think includes a new shell, which might not be a bad idea, depending on how good of condition your shell is. I think they do extreme rate shells, which is what this is. For the most part, extreme rate is pretty good. I've heard a lot of people have complaints about the Switch extreme rate shells. And I see where they're coming from some of these gaps in the plastic, like down here. Maybe I can click it into place, but I don't think so. I think this might be due to the mod, since that's where our new wires are, and it's a little bit thicker over there. But then up here, where there is no new mod, it's got a little bit of a gap here too. Probably could have been solved if Nintendo had a screw hole over here, but they don't. So other than that, the rest of it looks good. If you don't like soft touch shells, then sorry. All the printed ones are soft touch. I believe the clear plastic ones aren't soft touch, and those are great. But at this point, I am rambling and advertising for a company that does not make me any money. So I'm going to end it here. This looks great. If you want my full review, this is probably a little blown out for you actually, but if you want my full review, it will be up right now on the main channel. This is the second channel if you're new around here. Again, if you want a probably slightly better tutorial or a more fuller tutorial where they actually remove the screen, I will link Taki's tutorial down below. I do not have plans to do the HDMI version of this or the touchscreen version of this. I'm satisfied with this as of right now, and I have multiple switches, so I don't need this to output via HDMI. So you can click right here somewhere to watch my full review right now. And if you already watched that, then thanks for watching. Watch it again, leave a like, subscribe. Bye.